Hi, my name is Peyton Rissman, and today I'm going to be discussing the Metacognitive Mechanics project for Business Class 601-31, Business Communication Fundamentals for California State University, Monterey Bay. Today I'm presenting the semicolon. Fearing the semicolon, my personal purgatory. The semicolon has always been one rule that I've always struggled with. It's the idea and proper execution that I've always had no idea how to use. Throughout my education, using the semicolon I thought was never really needed. During my undergrad, I studied at an art school. Everyone always assumed that I never wrote any papers and I painted all day. However, it's actually a complete misconception. However, because I did go to an art school, I didn't have the same English courses that were offered, and I was not able to hone in on my grammatical skills and properly use the semicolon. Why the constant struggle with the semicolon? Well, what is a semicolon? It's a period and a comma put on top of one another. They represent more than a comma, but less than a full stop of a period. So where do I use the semicolon? When does it come into play? That's what we're going to be talking about today, and hopefully through this video I'm able to teach you how to properly use a semicolon. What does a semicolon do exactly? What are the rules? First rule, semicolons join two independent clauses. Next, I have an example. I went to the movie, semicolon. My mom was a supporting actress. Here we have two independent clauses joined by a semicolon. Yes, potentially I could separate the two sentences and just make them two separate. Or I could place an and between movie and my. However, I don't necessarily need to because they can be joined together with the semicolon. Number 2. To show a pause that is longer than a comma, also known as the supercomma, and we'll get to that in just a moment. And number 3, used to form a bond between two statements, similar to joining two independent clauses that we used in the first example. So, the supercomma. Why is a semicolon known as a supercomma? Well, that's exactly what it does. It takes an excessively long pause between clauses. It's the supercomma. A semicolon can also separate locations, names, dates, and descriptions. Below, I have some examples. So here is a supercomma in action. Number 1. The 3 combinations of seafood offered at the restaurant are snapper with asparagus and red tomato sauce, lobster bisque with oyster crackers, or salmon topped with capers in a white wine sauce. Between each description of the food items, I input a semicolon to separate those items. Number 2. Using a semicolon is easy. Watching YouTube helped me figure it out. Here we have 2 independent clauses that correlate to one another and can be easily separated with a semicolon. Here we have a fun image that was found online showing that both bears and semicolons have pause. First example, the comma, a brief pause. With the sandwich in hand, the man frantically runs away from the bear, prompting a heart-pounding chase. Here we used a comma to show a brief pause between bear and prompting. The semicolon, a moderate pause. When running away, the man dropped his sandwich, providing the bear his delicious lunch. Here we have 2 independent clauses and actions that we are able to separate with the semicolon. And the last example, a period, the complete stop. After the bear enjoyed his meal, he decided to take a nap. Last week, we found a couple of articles And this article has to do with semicolons, a love story. So this article is actually 100% loathing for semicolons and how one man's ability to overcome his hatred helped breathe new light to not only his writing but to understand how these somewhat pesky grammatical punctuations can be used. Throughout the article, the author touches base on how semicolons are needed and how you can actually use them to produce a great piece of literature. This is my annotated bibliography. I thank you for watching today, and I hope you have a great day.